Good evening! Dramatic start there, ladies and gents. Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Morte D'Arthur. That was not how tonight was meant to begin. It's not meant to be much cooler. But fortunately, it seems that most of you have missed it. Unless you saw that on replay, in which case, who doesn't like a bit of excitement? Hello, Bang Rabbit. Hello, Queen. Come in. Come in. You just missed me dropping the iPad mid exclamation. I yelled, hello, and it all collapsed. But you're here now. That's the important thing. You'll come through. I'm sorry for being late again. It will get better. It will get better. Yes, but we sort these things, Rabbit. We sort these things. That's the important stuff, and it's all right in the end, isn't it? We make sure it's all right in the end. But yes, got another show for you tonight: jousting and supper, which seems to be the way that things go in medieval England at the moment. You smite for a bit, and then you have supper for a bit, and then you smite some more. So that's what we're in for a bit more of this evening. Finding out how the good old Knight Sir Palamide is getting along at the jousting tournament. Which will keep us entertained merrily into the evening, I should think. Eventually we get Sir Tristram back. We're not far from getting Sir Tristram back into the story. Now we need to get all of the days of jousting sorted. Well, no, actually, it's midway through. It will come back next week. Tristram will come back into the fold, which is I know you guys will be happy about that. You'll all give Tristram a warm round of welcome when he comes back in. And why not? Why not indeed, when Tristram comes back? It will be great! And also, for those of you who might be paying attention, you haven't missed an episode. I've just realised I said tonight was episode 44 to 45. I lied again. Tonight is episode 43 to 44. Just making mistakes at the moment, guys. I'm making mistakes. It will never do. And speaking of mistakes, of which I am terrible at the moment, speaking of my terrible mistakes, I've noticed that you folk have been voting on Instagram as to what my penance should be. Thank you for everybody who voted on Instagram, by the way. It means a lot that you're trying to punish me. It means a lot that the punishments are taking place. But thank you for everyone who voted. And it seems, unless there has been a mad sudden rush and surge of votes in the past few minutes, that the winner by far is that my penance for lying about Alice and her wonderful assets should be to read in public. And so, ladies and gents, I will accept that as my challenge. I shall do some storytelling in public. I'm not sure when at the moment, because I need to now get in touch with the local councils, because I think I need a busking licence to do it. So I need to find out how to get a busking licence. Because I won't get it. No, precisely. Not getting arrested. That's what we want. Not getting arrested. So I will find out about busking licences. I'll get myself sorted, and then I will pick somewhere in North Yorkshire and go and tell stories in public to a live audience. And of course, anyone who's in the UK is welcome to come and see me do that. More than welcome, in fact, to come and see me do that if anyone is local. But Danny, I'm a country boy. London upsets me. It's got concrete in it and crowds, and everyone's moving slowly, and there are things up everywhere. I like trees, Danny. I like hills. I like castles. I like sheep. So that's, well, you know, they might be used to weird stuff. I think Yorkshire likes a bit of storytelling when it comes across it. So I'll do it up north. I'm doing it up north, ladies and gents. So yes, that's still to come. And without further ado then, I shall get into tonight's show. We are telling the tale of the great jousting tournament that Sir Galahad held. No sheep jokes. I don't know any sheep jokes. And so we're telling the tale of Sir Galahad's jousting tournament, where already we have seen the knight Sir Palomides, the questing knight, to have shown great force of arms. We have also seen Sir Lancelot, greatest knight in all the realm, prove himself to be an able and ferocious fighter. And now we turn to the end of the second day of that tournament. Oh God. I shouldn't yawn. The second day of that tournament. With tales of Sir Palomides, who has only just defeated Sir Galahad himself, and thus won himself the love of a fine damsel. When Palomides was unarmed, he asked for lodging for himself and the damsel. Anon, Prince Galahad commanded them to take lodging, and he was not so soon in his lodging that there came a knight who was called Archade. He was brother unto Goneredes that Palomides had slain before in the damsel's quarrel. And this knight, Archade, called Sir Palomides traitor, and he called him out for the death of his brother and blamed him. By the leave of the prince, said Palomides, I shall answer your blaming. When Sir Galahad understood their quarrel, he bade them to go and take dinner. And as soon as you have dined, look that either knight be ready in the field, he said. So, once the knights had dined, they were armed both, and they took their horses, and the queen and the prince and Lancelot were set to behold them. And so they let run their horses, and there Sir Palomides bore Archade on his spear over his horse's tail. And then Palomides came down and drew his sword, but Sir Archade might not arise, and there Sir Palomides took off his helm and smote off his head. Then the prince and Queen Guinevere went to supper once more. And King Bagdamus sent away his son Meleagant, so that Sir Lancelot should not meet him, for he hated Lancelot, and that he knew not. So there, a fine opening to tonight's tales, ladies and gents. Food, and then jousting, and then more food. It's a wonder these knights can fit into their armour at this stage. It's a wonder they can do any fighting on a full stomach. And perhaps that's why Palomides so easily lopped off Archade's head when he demanded revenge over the death of his brother. Whew. I must apologise. I'm coming down from a caffeine high over the past week, ladies and gents. So my body is struggling to accept that I'm doing water over caffeine. But now we move to the third day, and how Sir Palomides jousted with Sir Lamorak and other things. I think I must be Rabbith, but that won't stop me from doing tonight's tales. Then began the third day of jousting. And at that day King Bagdamus made himself ready, and there came against him King Marsil, who had in gift an island of Sir Galahad the prince. And this island had the name of Pomitane. And it befell that King Bagdamus and King Marsil of Pomitane should meet together with spears, and King Marsil had such a buffet that he fell over his horse's crew. Then there came in a knight of King Marsil to revenge his lord, and King Bagdamus smote him down, horse and man, to the earth. Then there came an earl, whose name was Arus, and Sir Bruce and 100 knights with them who had come from Pomitane, and the king of Northgally was with them too, and all these were against those of Sir Luce. Then there began a great battle, and many knights were cast under their horses' feet. And ever did King Bagdamus do best, for he first began, and ever he held on in the battle. Garis, Gawain's brother, smote ever down at the face of King Bagdamus, and at the last King Bagdamus hurtled down Garis, horse and man. Then, by adventure, Sir Palomides the good knight met with Sir Blamore de Ganys, Sir Blowbris's brother, and either one smote each other with such great spears that both their horses and knights fell to the earth. But Sir Blamore had such a fall that he had almost broken his neck, for the blood burst out of his nose, out of his mouth and his ears. But at the last he recovered well by good surgeons. Then came in the Duke Chalain of Clarence, and in his governance there was a knight who was called Elie Lenoir. And there encountered with him King Bagdamus, and he smote Elie that he made him avoid his saddle. So the Duke Chalain of Clarence did their great deeds of arms, and of so late he came in the third day that there was no man who did so well, except King Bagdamus and Sir Palomides, so that the prize was given that day to King Bagdamus. Then they blew unto lodging and unarmed them, and went to the feast. Right so came Dinadan, who mocked and japed with King Bagdamus, that all knights laughed at him, for he was a fine japer, and well loving all good knights. And so anon as they had dined, there came a varlet, who bore 4 spears on his back. He came to Palomides and said this: Here is a knight who has sent you the choice of 4 spears, and he requires you for your lady's sake to take 1/2 of these spears and joust with him in the field. Tell him, said Palomides, that I will not fail him. When Sir Galahad realized this, he bade Palomides to make himself ready. And so Queen Guinevere and the Prince and Sir Lancelot set upon scaffolds to give the judgment of these 2 knights. Then Sir Palomides and the strange knight ran so eagerly together that their spears broke in their hands. Anon either one of them took a great spear in his hand, and then they all shivered to pieces. And then the knight smote down Sir Palomides, horse and man, and he fell to the earth, and he would have passed over him, and the strange knight's horses stumbled and fell down upon Palomides. Then they drew their swords and lashed together wonderly sore a great while. Then the Prince and Sir Lancelot said they had never seen 2 knights fight better than they had done. But ever the strange knight doubled his strokes, and ever put Palomides aback. Therewith the prince cried, Ho! And they went to lodging. When they were unarmed, they saw that the strange knight was in fact the noble knight Sir Lamorak. When Sir Lancelot knew that it was Sir Lamorak, he made much of him, for above all earthly men he loved him best, except Sir Tristram. Then Queen Guinevere commended him, and so did all other good knights, who made much of him, except Sir Gawain's brethren. And Queen Guinevere said unto Sir Lancelot, Sir, I require that you do not joust any more, and that you joust with none of the blood of my Lord Arthur. And so Lancelot promised that he would not joust at that time. An end to tonight's tale, ladies and gents. Palomides finally met a knight who was his match in Sir Lamorak, second most loved knight in all the world by Sir Lancelot, saving only Tristram himself. And so we draw an end to another day of fighting. When we come back tomorrow, we'll have the 4th day of battles, and there we shall see great deeds of arms from the knights of King Arthur, from King Marcel, and from the Duke Chalains of Clarence. There was a heck of a lot of blood in tonight's episode there. Blood from the nose, blood from the mouth, blood from the ears, and the man survived thanks to good surgeons. And if you think about it, being able to survive that kind of a wound in medieval Britain means that they are incredible surgeons. So good on him. I'm glad no knights were harmed in the making of tonight's episode, ladies and gents. It was bloody lovely indeed, Danny, in every sense of the word. Anyway, thank you, guys, for coming to that tonight. Still to come, though. Still to come on tonight's show is something very, very special. Tonight, we have another episode of Till Bashing coming up in just a few moments. So I am going to say goodbye for you all. Get ready for Till Bashing and then see you back here in a few minutes as we launch into your favourite store about Tills and Grimsby. I know you guys can't wait. I can't wait. It will be great. It is the big show indeed. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you, Vaveth. Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Karen and Danny. Thank you, Amanda and Marcella and Clockwork. And for those of you who haven't heard the good news, voting has now finished on Instagram. I have decided, well, you have decided for me what I should do as penance for lying about Alice's lovely assets. And so I will read in public. I will storytell in public, ladies and gents. So I need to now find out all about busking permits and that kind of stuff so I can go out and spread the good words of the Knights of King Arthur. Bye-bye. See you guys in a few minutes for Till Bashing.